Welcome to another episode of Let Me Ask You This. Today, I am here with LJ. He is a YouTube star. 1K followers on YouTube for his channel, LJ's Garage. If you aren't following it, go subscribe to it. Like his videos. They are really good. So, what made you want to get into this YouTube channel?
So, it all started when I was a little, wee laddie. And my dad would let me, get in his lap and park cars. So I've always had this little love for cars, you could say. And as I got older, I finally was like, I'm watching all these guys do things that I wish I could do. And I would sit there and I'd do commentary and like, if I were to film a video, I'd do it this way. Or I don't like that, I'd edit that out. And so finally one day I was like, you know what? I should just make the video how I want and just pick up a camera and go do it. So my girlfriend and we talked about it and she was like, what are you waiting for? Go buy a camera. And I was like, I don't want to buy a camera. That's too expensive, too time consuming, all this stuff. And I kept making up excuses. And she's like, let's go to Best Buy. Let's go buy a camera. Go film a video. What's the worst that could happen? And here I am now.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing it?
So I finally just hit my year mark in August of this year. And so a year and carry the 1 year and like 3 months. Math isn't my strong suit. So we'll say a year and 4 months maybe. I don't know.
Year and 4 months. That's not bad. So you just hit 1,000 subscribers, correct?
Yeah. So last week I hit 1,000 as of last week Monday. Now I'm up to, believe it or not, 1,100. So I got another 100 subscribers in like the last 5 days. So it seems people like me,
Yeah, people are sharing your videos.
Yeah.
So what was your first car that you owned?
So my first car was a 1995. It's an Eagle Talon. But what it is, it's a Mitsubishi Eclipse. So
Okay.
you might know that from like the Fast and Furious and stuff like that. So I had one of those, and I always wanted a cool, fast car. But back in the day, '90s cars were what every kid that was in my generation got as a first car. And you got little Altimas, Civics, basic cars, and I was like, I want something a little faster. So I got one with a turbo, and my mom was like, turbo's terrible. Don't get a turbo. It's too fast. You can't handle it. And I talked her into it, and she got me that car, and I got 6 speeding tickets and lost my license a couple times. So, I really enjoyed cars, you could say.
Yeah. My first car was this really terrible red PT Cruiser.
Nice.
Manual.
Even better.
Yep. I used to actually drag race people with it.
Okay.
Yeah. And like they would always have automatics, and I would still just blow them out of the water.
Nice.
And it was hilarious. Because on the way home from school, the back roads are empty because everybody takes the main roads because it's stupid. And me and my buddy pull up next to each other at a stoplight and just, all right, let's go. And I always be the first one off halfway down the road before they even quarter away.
The good thing with a manual is like even if it is a slow car, you can just like redline it and take it to the moon, and then it'll feel fast because it's a manual. So drag racing is only natural.
So right now you don't have any tutorials really on your channel. You mainly just review cars.
So I try to do a little bit of everything because the way that I would want my channel is just centered around cars in any way, shape, or form. So there's a couple videos on there. I do a little bit of like skits and just car joking, humor type of things. The tutorials I've done so far, they've just been really simple things that I feel like people should know. Random oil changes, part swaps, things like that I feel like could help people. But that's not the meat and potatoes of the channels. But I'm going to try to start to do a little bit more of it whenever I figure out what project car I kind of want.
Okay. So what is your favorite car you've talked about?
So this one, if you had asked me like 2 weeks ago, I'd probably say, I don't know. But luckily now I finally got one of my dream cars. So it's actually my car right behind us. It's one I've wanted for the last 4 or 5 years. And I've actually wanted any generation of this car for like the last 10 years. So I was finally happy when I could make a video on a car that I could say is mine.
Okay. You like the color? Like, did you want this color?
I dreamt of this color like probably way more than a normal person should. I think I had all sorts of dreams and fantasies about this color specifically, and every time I found one that was kind of close, that wasn't the right color, I had to say no. It just wasn't right.
Okay. So I do have like a couple young viewers, like just turned 16. What is like a good starter car for them?
So for me, it's always tough because there are a lot of good American cars, but I've always found myself drawn to more of the Japanese cars. When I recommend first cars, I always like the Toyotas, the Hondas, the Nissans.
Yep.
Nissan Altima, Honda Civic, Toyota. God, what is my Toyota? I'm drawing a blank. Toyota. Camrys, that's it.
Okay.
Or Corollas, any of those. They're all solid cars, easy to work on. And there's 1,000,001 like of them. So you can go to the parts, cheap labor, cheap everything on those. So easy cars to keep running.
That was actually gonna be my next question. What is the easiest car to work on?
Pretty much any of those. Parts aplenty, and honestly, that's why I love YouTube, and I love what you're doing as well, because it's educating people on a lot of things that maybe they didn't think to grab a tool or something and try it themselves. But if you watch someone do it and you go, oh, that really wasn't that bad, I could definitely do it. I kind of want to empower people to do more of that. So those Hondas, Toyotas, everyone works on them. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people do. And so any questions you have, the forums are great and all the information's available online.
I mean, you've helped me with my wife's Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And those things are not easy to work on.
No, I love German cars. Probably up there as my favorite, but sometimes they can be a little bit difficult with some of the little things that should be straightforward. But when it comes to engineering, they do it really. They're really great engineers, but sometimes people say it's a little over-engineered.
So when it comes to like picking a car, would you rather an older one that's like the engine block's like open, it's easy to work on, or a newer one where everything's like compact and all pretty much electronic?
I don't know. I have this. Literally, I don't think there's a car that anyone could give me that I would just absolutely hate. Like, I always make Prius jokes, but I would gladly take a Prius any day because I appreciate the work that goes into it. But I'd say, in a nutshell, I'd take the newer cars. And coming from like a 90s car, it's just like you get to a point where things start to fall apart. You take it on the road, you hit a bump, and now you've got these squeaks and rattles. And that stuff drives me crazy because I'm so OCD about cars that I would hear every squeak and rattle, and I have to fix every single one of them. And once you get a 20-year-old car, the problems just, they don't stop. It's just always something. I mean, for me.
You saw my, what was it?
Yeah, the Caddy, right?
Yeah, the Caddy. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Cadillac DeVille, 97.
They're tanks. They're so awesome, but it's just like, you're always finding things that are broken or things that you can make better. You're like, oh, I sat in this part of the seat too much. My right cheek wore out the leather. Now I got to fix the right side.
Yeah. Like, the problem with that, don't know if I told you, but so when I shift it into gear, there was nothing wrong with shifting it. I would put it in drive and it would drive.
Yeah.
But the small computer in it thought I put it in reverse.
Oh, sweet.
But like, it wouldn't go in reverse. It was just the computer was reading it wrong.
Yeah.
And that one little tiny part, because it was a 97, they discontinued it. It was like $600.
Oh God.
So that's why I got rid of that. That was terrible.
Yeah, I had a similar issue. My first car I didn't really have for very long. It started falling apart. I remember when I picked it up, they were like, yeah, the sunroof might work sometimes, but I wouldn't risk it. And I was like, yeah, it is what it is. But I remember my second car, it was a 1996 or 95 Nissan Altima. Or actually, it was a Nissan Maxima. And I remember one day some guy was messing with me on the highway, and hopefully my mom doesn't ever see this. I'm sorry, Mom. I wasn't speeding. It was in a closed course in a safe environment. But this guy, he was messing with me, and he kept pushing me, and he wouldn't let me pass him. And with next thing you know, I look down, and we're going, in the triple digits. I won't say anything incriminating. But I was doing triple digits, and it was like the first time ever. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And I get home, park the car, and my adrenaline's pumping, and I'm like, okay, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And then I go inside, come back out to run to the grocery store, put my car in reverse. Nothing happens. And I call my mom. I'm like, the car broke. She's like, what happened? I was like, I have no clue. It just won't do anything. Transmission was only able to go up to like 20 miles an hour, and it wouldn't go in reverse, wouldn't do anything. So car was toast. I don't know if I did anything or if it was just time, but I pushed that car hard. So learned my lesson.
Yeah, you did. Have you ever drove a Dodge Avenger?
Yes, I actually have. Yeah.
So my mom got a Dodge Avenger for Valentine's Day.
That's cute.
And yeah, it was this nice little red sport Dodge Avenger. And I was like, hey, can I drive it? She said, no, not yet. And then finally she let me drive it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the mall. She's like, okay, be safe. That gas pedal is so light. First time I ever drove in the triple digits.
Nice.
And it was on accident.
You're not gonna apologize and tell her?
Oh, she knows.
Oh God.
She knows. Well, I told her after, but it was scary because like you couldn't tell you were going in triple digits.
Yeah.
And I just looked down. And I was like, oh, let's slow it down a little bit.
Those are little baby NASCARs. I love those things.
Oh yeah, she wanted a Charger, but she was like, oh, I still have kids.
Man.
We need to cut the kids around. Now she drives a Jeep.
So your mom's the one with the good taste.
Yes.
Okay.
My mom does have very good taste in cars. Even though she doesn't know a lot about cars, she just thinks they look pretty. So
Chargers are so cool.
Yep. So, do you have any idea what your next video is going to be?
So, I've got a couple ideas. There's a lot of things that so luckily with this, I've been able to network with a lot of people in the St. Louis area, which has been awesome. I've got some friends that do all sorts of cool things, and so they've kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone to try different things, film different things, because there's no reason why you can't.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking one of the first things that I want to do is I'm just going to find someone to do a burnout and just teach them how to do burnouts in this thing. So that's one. And then the other thing that I want to do is there's a couple of generations of this car, and I'd love to do a comparison video where I could get like two other cars that are similar to this one and have them lined up to do one like 20-minute video, because normally my videos are like 15, 13 minutes, somewhere in there. And I want to kind of push it a little bit and do more of like a comprehensive overview of certain cars, and I kind of want to do it on this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Your videos are very short and sweet.
Exactly.
Like you get the point across. You're just like, this is either a good car or an okay car. Because I don't think I've ever heard you say once that a car was bad.
So I try to keep things unbiased as much as I can, because I know for me there's certain things where I'm like, oh, I hate this. Like, for example, like in certain cars they'll have like the dial pad where you can still see the numbers and do all that. Mercedes does that, and I hate it. It drives me crazy. I just think that needs to be like removed from cars. But everyone has their own taste. Some people think it's cool, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to tell you how I feel, because you can really mess with people when you start saying that, like, you feel a certain sort of way. So I rather just kind of give them the cut and dry, this is how it is, form your own opinion. Yeah,
especially because like it might not seem like it because it's just like a hobby to you.
Yeah.
But because people see that you have followers, they're like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
This guy doesn't like it. I won't like it. But people forget that they have their own opinion sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
because something really funny hearing you say that is like there's heated seats, and there's different amount of controls you can have on heated seats. And some manufacturers will give you like 6 different settings. And I know a lot of people are like, my butt can't determine what max heat is, from mid-max heat to like medium max heat.
Yeah.
But some people are like, well, I only have 3 choices for my heat: low, medium, or high. That's not enough. I want more. And so it's like, you could go back and forth all day, but it's like, as long as your butt's getting heated, what does it really matter?
Yeah.
It's just an argument that's going to go nowhere.
Yep. So what are some of your favorite features of a car? Like something that you must have, like remote start, heated seats,
God, you said remote start. So in Germany, remote start is like, they're super eco-friendly and all that stuff, which is good, by the way. If you guys are eco-friendly, I'm sorry. But they're not. Or they are, actually. And so one of the things they don't like is cars idling and sitting in the driveway warming up. They think it's silly. So a lot of their cars don't have remote start.
Okay.
And that's something I do love. That's like top of my list, especially in the wintertime. I love it. But what they do is they allow you to like put the windows down from your key fob so you can air the car out, but that doesn't help you in winter.
No.
It makes it worse. So I love that. And then now I've been kind of hooked on safety features, which I never thought I would be, but as I've gotten older and I enjoy comfort and like being safe, I get off the motorcycle and I hop in the car and I'm like, cool, it'll tell me if I'm going to hit a pedestrian and it'll stop me, or forward collision avoidance or stuff like that. Or, God, what's the other thing that I really love? What's it called? Anyways, all those collision avoidance things. So like sometimes I'm driving down the road and on my car, a big red car will pop up and it'll tell me that I'm getting close to someone, or it's going to start braking for me because it thinks that I'm going to hit someone. And I love that stuff. So safety features that we have nowadays are awesome.
Have you tried any cars that have like the self-parking, parallel parking?
Yes.
Does it work really well?
It's amazing. It's really freaky. Don't get me wrong. Because you're like, you're sitting there and your wheel starts moving, so your natural instinct is like, I need to grab this wheel because that's not what's supposed to be happening. But once you do it a couple times, it's actually pretty awesome, especially like parallel parking. I love it. It's great, especially if you live in the city.
Well, I can imagine like somebody's not good at parallel parking. That solves the issue right there.
I had my last car before this one. I took it to the city and I only had it for 2 weeks. And I'm actually solid at parallel parking, I'll say. But for some reason, I was backing in and I come in and I just hit the curb just a tiny little bit. And came out, looked at my front bumper, and I had a nice little scratch on there. This car was perfect, and I was the first one to scratch it.
That's no good.
Exactly.
So what do you think about the future self-driving cars?
I love it, but I do hope that they at least give us the ability to still drive ourselves when we want. But I feel like what they're going to do is tax us and be like, hey, if you want to drive, well, it's going to cost you. And it's going to be like, I don't want to pay $500 to go to the grocery store. It's like, well, then you need to be safe and let your car drive you then. It's like, I don't like that.
Kind of like iRobot.
Exactly.
You know, he's sitting there, he's like, you know what, I'm driving. And they're like, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, well, get out of here.
But see, I like the idea though, because let's say, you know, I got to go from here to Colorado or something. It's 12 hours. But if I have a self-driving car, it would be nice to be able to just be like, okay, let me just sit here, read a book, keep my eyes on the road a little bit, but just let the car do the work. I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, see, I never really thought about it in like a long distance driving. Because like that makes sense. But like using it in the city,
it's a little sketchy.
Yeah, it seems a little sketchy because like I still read articles about like self-driving cars, or not self-driving cars, even cars sometimes that just stop automatically. They don't stop, and people expect it to, and they hit something.
See, the thing with a lot of these things is like the companies they put safety things in order for people to stay extra safe. But then it's like for the Teslas, they came up with a trick where if you you're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, if you put an orange under the steering wheel, it'll keep the weight and the Tesla will think you've got pressure on the wheel and think it's your hand. And it's like, well, see, now you're just doing what they told you not to do. And that's when it's like, natural selection, But then I'm like, well, I probably would do that too, so I don't know.
I mean, that makes sense. You know, always looking for the easy way out. That's what humans do.
Hey, shortcuts will get you in trouble, but again, I'd probably still do the same thing in my
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Don't tell people that.
Don't listen. That was a bad advice.
Kids, stay in school. Don't do drugs.
Yes, exactly. So, you have pretty much any last words you want to say?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
No,
Thanks
no.
for having me on the show. This is different.
Yeah, no problem. I know you're not used to being in front of the camera as much. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to get more into this. Just so you guys know, I am actually interviewing a band. I'm not saying who yet. A band this weekend, which will be released next weekend, because I'm a little behind. Life is crazy right now. But make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. Like his stuff. It's really good stuff. I'm not lying. Again, if you're not following me on Facebook or Instagram, that's where you get all my updates. Make sure you follow me on there. Subscribe and like my videos. That'd be awesome. And thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
My viewers want more interviews, so try and give them to them.
Yeah. Give the people what they want.
That's what you do.
Eat some snacks.
All right. Later.